Cool. So we'll be having the stream in this chat.
Yeah, I'll make an
Just to make.
announcement to let everyone know.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Give me 2 seconds. But how's your day been going?
Oh, pretty good. Just just a long day. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. I'm excited. The Avatar TV show came out. I'm very curious to see that. The live
Oh,
action
yes.
Last Airbender, and
Yeah.
the Borderlands trailer came out. Which is
How's that?
I don't know. I want to like it. I really want to like it, but the problem
Right.
is like you got all these like 20 something characters who for reasons I don't understand are played by like, 50 and 60-year-old people, and not to be age discrimination, but like, when it's like a crazy Mad Max funky land,
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't quite fit.
That one threw me off for sure. I was like, I don't know if I see that. I was like, we'll see.
Oh god dang it. Community. There we go. Are going live for the Josie 3D art event. Come join us in Employee Lounge A. And then live stream. I need to get that up and set up. But so what are we looking at here?
So this is a bunch of my messy UVs right now that I'm fixing up, and hopefully we can get to the fun part for texturing here in a second. So this is in Maya. Sorry to anyone who's anti-Maya.
Well, I know, isn't Maya considered to be like the de facto best 3D software?
Yeah, I guess. It's just something that I've always been comfortable with right now, and I know I need to switch over soon, so to Blender. I know a lot of people prefer it these days, at least. Plus it's free. That's always nice.
Oh, really? I didn't have no idea that Blender's free. I know, like, there's a lot of impressive stuff people have been doing with Blender. Like, I know, uh, there's this guy I really like. His name's Kane Pixels, and he like blew up doing like Attack on Titan with Blender stuff, as well as that Backrooms. And now he's doing like a full movie for the Backrooms, which is really impressive. But
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, it's a really impressive feat. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like community run as well. Like that's what's really cool about it, and you can purchase a lot of plugins to, help with like your own workflow and stuff. So that's always nice too.
Well,
But yeah,
that is really
Maya
nice to
is
have like
just
a great tool.
yeah, absolutely. Me and Warren unfortunately need to still slowly merge our way over there.
Well, always one step at a time. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we've got a proper thumbnail about Josie. We needed that.
Sweet.
All right, so we are good to go. We are live. Hello, my name is Isaac. I am the community manager, social media guy for Affray. And we are here today with Melissa. Right? Did I get that right?
No, Milena.
Milena. All right, but I knew it was an M. My apologies.
It's all right.
I've got
You're
five
fine. It's a
bajillion
Thursday.
Milena. Yeah. Who is the 3D environmental artist of Josie. This is probably the first really great behind the scenes a look at Josie. So please give me your questions on either YouTube or Discord to let me know your pressing questions. But let's start out. How did you get started in 3D art? What was kind of like your origin story?
Well, so I had like a really long academic journey that I kind of stumbled into 3D. So originally I went in for graphic design and didn't really understand like 3D could be like an actual job. So, like loving like all the classic films like from Pixar and stuff, but then realizing like video games was an option like much after post grad, I was like, oh, that kind of sounds exciting. So that's the kind of route I took. It was like maybe 10 years or so and after the fact and realizing I really wanted to be part of this industry. So yeah, it was
So
really cool. Like just kind of stumbled into it.
so what did you go to school for initially? Like, because it seems like it was interesting. The Josie concept artist, she kind of like stumbled into art, while you seem to have more of a formal education. Where did you go to school for, and what did you study?
Yeah, so originally I went to a college named Westwood College. It doesn't exist anymore. Unfortunately, I was one of those individuals that had that borrower's defense loan situation. After that, though, I found myself going back to school and getting my bachelor's of science at the IUPUI, which I don't think the I is in there anymore, or the Purdue per se. But my program was Media Arts and Science, and that was under the School of Informatics and Computing. It's a mouthful, which I think is called Luddy nowadays. That's where I ended up studying 3D. Originally, I wanted to go into film and TV. Then I found myself in a career with BAM currently, um, who is a creative ad agency. And then I ended up finding myself here with Josie as a contract job. So kind of balancing both right now.
Oh,
That's a
nice.
long-winded story, but yeah.
So you were inspired originally. Were you thinking about doing films, or did you? I guess what's your biggest passion? Is it the world of Pixar animation and 3D animation, or would you say like the world of gaming? If someone was to give you two offers, what you call it, Gabe Newell, I'm going to give you all the money in the world, or
Yeah. Well, I think originally I wanted to go into film and TV really bad. I actually, during college, was with a studio called Theory Studios, where I actually got to um, work on Man in the High Castle season 3,
ooh,
where
that
I got to do a little bit of, yeah, super random. It was one of my first like internship experiences. I discovered them through SIGGRAPH, and that actually ended up leading into that internship, and it was remote. First studio that I had ever really heard did any like kind of remote work, and that's how I ended up working on TV for like a very short time, but it was very cool. And then after that, though, I think games have definitely drawn me in more so. So yeah,
yeah, the gaming. It
I
seems
think
like
I think that answered.
no, no, no. That's a great answer. It seems like the world of gaming has infinite opportunity, especially since it's like a maybe 10 times what film and television is at this point. uh,
Yeah, for sure.
so, what are you working on here? What are we seeing for Josie? This looks like an incredibly complicated piece of artwork and software.
Oh. So we're in Unity right now. This is like two levels connected right now, where we kind of have like attached them so that it makes sense for the play of Josie, where she ends up going into the next room. I'm not going to tell you how or why. But here we've got an image of Crom that will hopefully be replaced somewhat soon, but maybe we'll keep the stock image. I'm just kidding. Uh, But yeah, so far I'm trying to model the control panel, which will go then into texturing within 3D Coat, which is what I use mainly, and then importing in here and understanding how to like generate lighting and utilizing the shader, for example. Um, so if I disable this room, for example, I have the right one. Let's see here. We have not. done that. Ah. So we remove the scene, and then we go back into one scene, and we've like kind of got our gadgets back here. So anyways, hopefully that describes that. Sorry, I was kind of muttering to myself. Going back into Maya. Hopefully we can get this actually unwrapped soon.
So, for a novice like me, who loves the world of video games and 3D animation, or animation in general, what is the process of like creating an asset in Maya and then getting it in Unity? Like, are they connected, like kind of like Adobe Premiere and After Effects?
They kind of can be. I think you can actually export a selection. Yeah, you can actually send it to Unity here or Unreal per se. But my process typically has been exporting an object, let's say, into like an FBX or an OBJ, but in our instance, we're going to use an FBX. Different forms and extensions. An FBX usually has more information in it. Hopefully, no one calls me out on something if I'm saying something wrong. Very nervous there. But yeah, so we'll use that, and then I'll typically import it into a 3D code. I'll just pull up a random file. Let's say we have a cat bed, and then 3, 1, 2. And what I'll typically do here is import the object, which should have texture models here, or UV sets. And what I'll typically do then is I will go in and utilizing the textures, I'll calculate my own occlusion within 3D Coat. I know sometimes people like to bake within Substance Painter and utilize both 3D Coat at the same time. So the occlusion just helps give me a little bit more depth and something to work with when I'm painting. I typically am using the pencil tool, which automatically kind of gives you more of a pixel-based look, which is very much like the art direction that we're going with Josie right now. Kind of think like PS1 retro type of textures and low poly look, which you can kind of see here on the box.
Ooh.
Josie's little bed.
Oh, is that Josie's bed?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, like just adding, enough detail via pixel artwork, and then, keeping it simple, keeping the shape simple and, somewhat recognizable, because we'll be like about here for the game, dependent on like where the camera might move along with Josie. But yeah.
So
going back to here, hopefully we can finish it.
for
Yep.
anyone watching on either Discord or the YouTube live stream, please give me a question for Milena. If you have about Josie, 3D art, her artistic influences, I'm sure she would love to have feedback on this control panel or anything else she's building. So feel free to ask. I have both my eyes on both screens, and would love to. All right, X Streeper asks when the release date is. I don't think you can comment on that, but you're
Yeah.
working very hard.
Yes. I hopefully, soon or not. Can't give any promises quite yet. Sorry.
Well, I'll say this much. Look at what she's doing and all this complex things with all the scary buttons and very intimidating software. So was it like the formal training in how you learn 3D art, or did you explore on your own? Because this seems very overwhelming and scary.
Yeah. It does look really scary at first. I'm just messing around with my UVs right now, honestly, just to make sure that it fits on like the desired like map size and what's called texel density. But to go back into that, yeah, essentially it was like university, learned a lot of the basics there, got to teach myself Maya, and then like post grad, it's a lot of like kind of relearning all over again, making sure you're following tutorials and stuff like that. It's not quite like riding a bike where you're just gonna remember and pick it up like every time, at least for me. Some things you might remember, like muscle memory, like, like clicking certain things here and remembering certain placements of stuff. But yeah, sometimes it's just about like constantly getting in and doing practices per day where it makes this software a little bit less overwhelming. Like 3D code, I know some things here and there, but I don't know it all. What helps sometimes is like other software kind of mimics another, where 3D code feels like a little bit of uh, Photoshop. So what's really cool about 3D code as well, you can pull up Photoshop, which I'll bring in another window, and then
Ooh,
hopefully that'll load here soon on off screen. And then what's really neat is that you can go in between these two software. At least I don't know another software that currently does that right now. And
very.
hopefully I'm not talking too much, so
No, this is what the people are here for, to learn behind the scenes
yeah.
and
Yeah.
hear
Uh,
the talk from a pro. Um, I guess
I don't know if I'm a pro, but
X Reaper encourages you to
uh,
keep talking. Hey, if you're getting paid,
okay.
oh, here's a good question. Dragon Actual asks, how many days would it take to design a single environment prop, such as a wall, boulder, tree, etc.?
A boulder takes like a few minutes, I would say, like to kind of construct. Like, let's say we've got Unity pulled up. Like, it's not too bad. We keep it really simple. We can show the wireframe, for example. Sorry, you're gonna have to kind of see through it here, but this has been like blown up due to Unity and like tries are really what a lot of game engines tend to like convert a polygon in. But it's pretty easy in terms of the shader that we have as well and the color. But if it depends also on like if you're going for a really stylized route, like let's say Overwatch or something, that might take like, maybe a day or two, dependent on like what kind of details going into that type of rock, I guess. But for Josie, I would say like maybe a day. I hope that's not too long-winded of an answer,
No,
but
there is nothing that is too long-winded. These are people who have come to
cool.
learn and absorb from someone who's got paid to work on Man in the High Castle, which they probably have not. Fire Captain asks, what other SCPs will be featured in SCP Josie, or is that currently redacted? I know that
Ooh,
there will be
that's
there.
I'm
Oh, sorry.
mhm. No, you go ahead.
I think that's deeply classified. I know some of the SCPs that are going to be in Josie, but as to my afraid NDA, I will not reveal them. But I will say, if you
Yeah.
go with the dev log, there's some art that gives a pretty good clue in terms of like one big SCP that'll feature prominently in one of the levels in one of the big set pieces.
Yeah. So currently my answer is also redacted for now. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. We always try and strike that balance between like what we can answer and what we can't. So Dragon
Yeah.
Actual asks, provided you were aiming to make such props have realistic details, so it looks like the real thing as opposed to older games. 1 second. So yeah, there's this little heart screen on my browser, and then that gets in the way of the chat. Um,
Oh, gotcha.
so, provided you are aiming to make such props have realistic detail, so it looks like the real thing, as opposed to older games in the past, like Halo 3.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. We've just been kind of winging it at that point, right? So it's like we've got certain assets that look a little bit realistic, and then other things are kind of like exaggerated. We're hoping that with like the textures that we're doing in the shader, it all becomes kind of more cohesive. So pulling up like Unity, for example, like this amazing shader that was created by Albarni, blends in like the textures here. We've got like a kind of stylish vending machine from like a radio that'll pop up on occasion. To like lockers looking somewhat realistic, but we've still got that pixel look going on. You can see like a little few dents, scratches, and wear and tear. So it all kind of is like we're going for realistic, but we're also trying to like pull it back with some of the textures and hopefully, it doesn't read like we're trying to really aim for realism here. It's just like a fun, exaggerated PS1 style. Not quite like Halo, I guess. I don't know. Sorry. Maybe I'm talking too much. I don't know.
You will never ever be talking too much. That is the purpose.
Okay.
This is all just that
Cool.
is what streaming it is. It is like radio. It is just to
Yeah.
talk excessively. If anything,
Yeah.
if I'm not talking over you, it just means I'm being polite because you are giving out knowledge to these people. So I'm kind of curious. Is it more
Cool.
difficult to handle this like work in this like sort of retro PS1 style or like do things that are more realistic?
It's actually been a blast to do this type of work. Like there's certain things that have been a challenge because you want to get certain detail in there, right? But like you're constrained due to the pixel. Which like for pixel artists, of course, that's like natural for them. But me being a 3D artist that came out of the project, I had uh like kind of been unaware that I was going to end up doing pixel work per se. Um, so it was constraining in some ways, but creatively, it's been like an absolute blast to do.
Uh, yeah, and it seems fantastic that like one thing I've noticed is that there's a lot of nostalgia. So in the indie scene, we're seeing like a lot of people like make these sort of retro style PS1 graphics. So it seems like it's really come in vogue.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I kind of just love that, like, so many styles are coming back because of that. Like, there is a sense of nostalgia, I think, and like what I hope will like make people gravitate to play SCP Josie a lot more.
I think it'll be a big selling point. User 1234 asks, "Is there going to be lore, maybe Easter eggs like the other half of the cat?"
Oh, redacted for now. Perhaps.
I always think
That's definitely an interesting question.
X Streeper asks, "Josie versus SCP 3000, who wins?"
I'm gonna say Josie. Maybe that's just bias at this point.
Well, we all know that, like, you can't defeat cats on the internet. Even if SCP 3000 tries something, then
That's what I think.
the internet will revolt and they will go, after 3000 because there's an entire documentary about how people on 4chan went after a guy who harassed cats. So
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's called "Don't Mess with Cats" or "Don't F with Cats." I
Oh,
haven't.
yeah. Yeah, that was a great documentary. Absolutely messed up, but great. I
So there you go. Josie's like the Thanatos Gambit. If you have you ever heard of the Thanatos Gambit?
don't think I have, no.
Or is it Xanatos? Gargoyles villain. So you ever see the old animated show Gargoyles?
I have. It's been a while though.
So there's this main villain named Xanatos, and he's kind of like Super Lex Luthor on steroids. And then there's this like meme that came out of it called the Xanatos Gambit, which is basically this flow chart that says no matter what you do, it'll always benefit him, so he wins no matter what. So if you stop,
I see.
if you defeat him, then what you would call it, he'll become a martyr. Then he wins. If you strike him down, then a monster will get released. Then he wins. So Josie's like
Right.
Josie always wins.
Josie always wins. Yeah. I think so. Like, yeah. Maybe that's just my bias at this point.
So look out for those Easter eggs when the game is eventually released.
Yeah.
And do you have like a particular favorite game from like the PS1 N64 era?
Oh man. Probably Final Fantasy VII. I feel like that's a cop-out answer, but it's great.
No, that's a great answer. That's like one of the. Although I don't know if it like would count as like a pixel art style because it had that rare thing that you almost never see anymore, the FMV movie. Or no,
Yeah, like
the
it's
background, the full motion video screens. Oops, sorry for cutting you off.
no, you're fine. Yeah, I guess like I don't know, I think of it as like low poly, like what they were working with back then, and like it ended up translating a little bit like pixel art. Um, but yeah, like that like genre or that like look dev, like so good.
So after this stream, are you gonna go boot up a Final Fantasy reboot or Final Fantasy?
Man, I should. But
Early...
Warren might tell me to get back to work.
X Reaper is suggesting you guys should make a Josie Discord server. As fun as that would be, I also don't want to like split things too right because there's some truth to that. I'm sure Josie fans are going to be very different than SCP 5K fans.
Yeah.
But at this point, who knows? Maybe in the future, in my fantasy, where Josie becomes a huge best-selling game, makes $100 million, gets an animated series and a book, and there's a Josie empire that then will invest into making a Josie Discord server where we can just share cat memes. Firecap. Yeah. Fire Captain asks, is SCP Josie's gameplay based or built upon other game formats, or will it be taking more of a unique perspective on gameplay? Ooh, that's a very good question.
That is a great question. It's going to be very platformer based with some like puzzles here and there. I know that Warren might have like some other things up his sleeve currently, but he could totally correct me if I'm wrong on this too. So yeah, that's kind of my answer for now. Just because things might shift, things might not, all dependent. I mean, that's what's so fun right now about this development phase, and maybe getting more feedback from like others and like what they might expect from the game. I don't know if I'm sure everybody's aware that like his original game is on itch under Fish, I believe is Fish Warren, something like that is his studio name, which I'm so sorry, Warren, if you and I totally mispronounced it. But he does have that original game up there, and it would be in the vein of similar gameplay, but some new things will be implemented. So, yeah. So hopefully that answered your question.
So there you have it. You can play Josie now. Maybe at some point we should do figure out a time to do a let's play of Josie. That would be fun. Like playing through Josie 1.0, and then oh my god, check out Josie 2.0. All right, so user 1234, is the Josie game inspired from Stray?
No, actually, what's really funny about that is Warren had developed the game prior to it being released, I believe, like a few years back before Stray even came out. Just happened to be coincidence, and funny enough, like I feel like cat games are so much more popular now because of Stray, and they're kind of like coming out of the woodwork as well as like other animal games too, but cats seem to be like ruling the world, and I'm happy about that.
I assume you're a cat versus a dog person?
I love both, equally both, but I do love cats for their chaotic nature.
Well, they are very fickle creatures, but it does seem like there you go. The news story. Josie was in development before Stray. They actually secretly invaded Warren's PC, saw what he was doing, that he was the cat is the future of gaming, and then they went after him.
Yeah. It's all a conspiracy. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. God damn those hackers, those people of what is that company? Who made Stray?
Who did make Stray? It was a newer company, I believe.
Blue 12 Studio. We're on to you. We don't care about your best award for independent game and the best award for best debut indie game. We know you were secretly channeling into Warren's SCP file.
Oh yeah, he's on to you.
So just out of curiosity, do you have any background with SCP in general? Was it something like
It's so funny that you asked that too, and I know I'm going to shock a lot of people, but I had no idea what SCP was prior to this job. And because Trey Bishop had reached out to me, he was like, "Hey, do you want to do an art test for this Josie?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Oh, a cute cat game, like sign me up." And then ended up learning more about SCP. Um, that was it's a cool universe like that I never really knew about. I guess like how I have to explain it to others is like almost like the Men in Black, and I really hope that's accurate to the community. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun like learning about it.
Stinky Cat, just to clarify, Josie is not available to download. You can't. It's not. The game is not out yet. Hopefully, it'll be out soonish. We're working on it, but you can wishlist it. So definitely go to Steam and
Yeah.
wishlist Josie. Whenever you wishlist Josie, Josie gets some extra tuna. We open up
Yeah.
we open up a little thing and we give her some tuna.
And she loves tuna.
Yeah. And Josie is not a virus. I don't know what's going on with Warren's old website. There should be no malware. It could just be your antivirus thing. I promise you that Warren is not trying to steal your data.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the PS1 art style. I've been going down this interesting rabbit hole on YouTube recently. Fire Captain asks, no cheese?
No cheese. Oh man. Maybe cheese. That's gonna be my answer.
Well, I do see a pizza prop there, so there is a
Yeah.
roundabout cheese. So
Yeah, we could totally put like a pepperoni pizza. Some guy left it here. So and then yeah, I mean we've had like a lot of fun just coming up with various props, and I hope like Josie in the beginning is very chaotic and that's fun for everybody. Like, I do want to have like a rig where Josie has like a piece of pizza and totally runs away with it kind of a thing and like makes other like NPCs like go crazy. Um I'd love to I'd love to see more cat chaos.
as much cat chaos as you can fit in. I'm sure if you could build
Yeah.
like a physics simulator where the cat reacts to other things. I know the opening area is supposed to be like a lot of like fun stuff, but you can never go wrong with cat chaos. Cat chaos is
Oh yeah.
supreme.
Absolutely.
So obviously animation's been a huge influence on you. Growing up, what was your
Oh yeah.
kind of like favorite Disney movies or TV shows or animated things that you enjoyed?
Gosh, I really gravitated towards like Ghibli films more so growing up. I loved Pixar and stuff, but I think what hit me the most was like seeing Away the first time. Like just blew my child brain like away. Like it was amazing. Um, just like that type of animation and claymation was also like pretty big too. And what's really cool is like in terms of like the animation as well, like we're kind of working with an animator who has been kind of messing with a claymation type of look for Josie when she moves around and stuff. And I think that's going to be really
Ooh.
fun. And so we're going for like less frames for the characters, make it stand out, of course, against Stray, which is great and a beautiful game, but got to stand out how we can. And we're already half of a cat, so I think that's pretty good.
Although, so it was the Studio Ghibli that kind of like ignited your artist's soul, versus more so like than the classic Disney Renaissance movies.
Yeah, it's just like something about the films for Miyazaki. It's just like, it's not just about like the incredible art and stuff. It's about the stories too. And, Pixar really like leans into kind of similar tropes sometimes, but like every Ghibli film always feels really different. I mean, you going from like Princess Mononoke to like Spirited Away, like completely different films and settings, and um, always kept my mind like open to like things like that and different stories. And Just like really interesting stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that is true. By any chance, did you see The Boy and the Heron?
I haven't yet, and it's been killing me. I recently got a heron tattoo, and it just felt like fate without knowing it was about a heron.
Oh, yeah, then I recommend. I don't know if it's out in theaters anymore. It might get re-released because I think it was nominated for Best Animated Picture. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I really loved it because of there's like not a huge spoiler, but there's this scene where like towards the back half of the movie, there's like this parakeet civilization of birds, and I loved it
Oh,
because they were like. I have a bird named Captain Crunch. You might be able to hear him squawking in the background. So obviously,
aw, that's amazing.
yeah, I'm a big bird person. So seeing those little birds like run around and do the little flaring nostril things and things that I kind of reminded me of Captain Crunch. Uh,
Yeah, aw. I
uh,
love his name. That's so cute.
yeah, if I'm lucky, maybe someday I'll get him to talk on stream. But he's always
Oh,
gets
that'd be
very
great.
anxious, when it comes to performing. X Dreeper asks, when will there be another Josie devlog? I know. I think there
Oh
were.
gosh.
Oh, sorry.
Hmm. No,
Uh,
no, no. You go ahead.
oh,
Sorry.
I think that there's one being planned. I don't know what the timeline is for when it's coming out.
Hmm.
I don't know if we could like reveal it. I do know that like one is in the process, and there are plans of like showing more of Josie. But
Yeah.
this is like a devlog, only it's a lot slower and not as patchy and not cut down.
Yeah. Not as exciting. But yeah, I hope soon. I really am excited to show more of what it is that we've been up to. Especially with like more of the effects and stuff that we're thinking of or characters that we're trying to implement. Uh, that's definitely a hope to be part of that, and hopefully that'll be out soon.
Yeah, I certainly can't wait for it to be unveiled. But yeah, the funny thing is like in all those behind the scenes videos, where they make it look like all these things that take hundreds upon thousands of man labor hours. They just happen in 10 minutes because they happen in a cool montage.
Yeah, yeah. I wish it took that long.
It gives you like this false idea, but like if anything, I'd say this is 10 times better than a devlog. It may not have cool things down into a snappy, digestible thing, but Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
you are seeing how the sausage is being made. You are seeing how this room is being constructed from the ground up. Look at all those lighting sources and props and that artistic care and detail that is going into this lovingly crafted environment.
yeah, for sure. It's been a lot of fun just coming up with stuff again and just seeing what things like again like we're thinking about little things that we can have everybody interact with as Josie. Because again, like your cat, I feel like you should be able to like knock everything over and chase things like till your heart is like content, you know?
Hey, Dragon Actual. So you probably answered my question already. Was paying attention to Discord instead. But my question was about the game compression for SCP 5K as time goes by with more content. Um, I'll try to answer that as best. I kind of wish you were here for the animation stream. They might have been able to answer that a little bit better. I'm not quite sure what you mean if compression in terms of like feature creep or like more stuff is being added. I'll say this much: I know that they have a roadmap in terms of like all the stuff that they want in SCP-5K for like the 1.0 release, and everything they're kind of building is to sort of like meet that goal. So it's less like that they're just kind of like oh, and I want this and that. You don't want feature creep in game development. You want a succinct product. This is not Doom. What was his name? Duke Nukem Forever, where every time there's a cool new thing in the tactical genre, it's like, oh, we got to add it to 5K. There was like a concise vision in terms of what they would like to add. So I hope that addresses it. But I'm sure we'll have a 5K event in the future. So make sure you subscribe to the Fray YouTube channel, you join the Discord, you follow all our socials, and keep up, and then maybe you will have more qualified people than me to answer it. Because, every now and then more people come. And last time we had it, oh, okay. That clarifies what you mean. God, I wish I had Al Barney in here, the technical director. He'd probably be able to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't think SCP-5K is going to be like 100 gigabytes. Like, I think one of the reasons why, so many modern... Captain Crunch! Okay, you good there, Captain Crunch? Okay, I don't know if you heard it. He just said his name. But I don't think SCP-5K is going to be like a hugely bloated game that's going to take 100 gigabytes in your hard drive. That's a really good question, and hopefully Al Barney will be able to answer it if he ever decides to pop in. Sometimes he does.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a good question. Do you have any idea how big Josie's going to be?
In terms of like the world, or
Well, like file
just a
size.
double
Is it
check?
going to be like 5 gigs,
Oh,
2 gigs?
uh, yeah, I couldn't imagine it being huge. It's really a low poly game. Like we're really focusing on low poly assets, really low texture resolutions, utilizing what's called a texture atlas, where textures are compacted into one texture map, and then being displaced with other objects in the game. So really, we're looking at like, yeah, maybe, yeah, not even like 2 gigs. It's gonna be a small, easy to play game, I hope.
Yeah.
We do have hopes of, releasing it on Steam, of course, and then we do have maybe some aspirations. I hope this is okay to say, but like maybe like try to reach out to the Switch, seeing if it can play there too. All depends during like the process of like developing it and seeing how it runs.
Oh my God, who is that special guest? Is that Fish, the head of Josie, the man himself, the King Cat Kahuna, the man of the hour,
Oh my god.
here to answer all your pressing cat catastrophe questions? Oh yeah.
This is officially like how you need to be introduced in our regular meetings. Like,
I did not expect that introduction.
that was
I-
amazing.
Yeah, that was great. I thought I'd drop in. I didn't. I was like, oh, I'm sure no one will notice if I just sneak in here.
Hey, I love it. I love it when people jump in. Trey jumped in the last one. It was a lot of fun having him in here. Because people are kind of like building the art are a little bit limited, while the game director has a little bit more say. So, all right, we got 2 questions. What are your inspirations when building environments? Like, what references do you use? And that is from Rojahel. And then Fire Captain asks, do you plan on porting Josie or 5K into consoles, or will they remain as PC games, as there are no SCP games on console that I know of currently?
Oh, snap. Okay.
So I guess
Wait,
start with
repeat the first question.
what are your inspirations for building environments, and what references do you use? We'll start with that one, and then we'll go to the other bigger question.
Yeah. Warren, do you want to answer this one? Because it's based off of Warren's mural. So,
Yeah, I can shed a little light on that. So we use a for like just literally like building environments. We have a mural page that we have just like a string of all the Josie levels sort of laid out, and next to each of those levels we have a bunch of just like reference photos that will sort of source visual inspiration from. I personally like Pinterest for just like getting like random art reference for stuff. But yeah, a lot of it's, even though it's a stylized game, a lot of it's like photo reference.
yeah. Yep, I totally use Pinterest as well.
It's the pure social media site.
It really is.
And then as for porting, yeah, right now Josie's just playing for PC, but yeah, we definitely want to get it on like consoles because I think it feels it's really good as a console game. It's definitely like controller recommended, sort of.
My dream, personally, is did you guys see the Nintendo Partner Direct?
I think I maybe missed that one.
They did one like yesterday where they showed off a bunch of the third-party games. Like, when I see Josie there and they have like the corny Nintendo animator or guy talking about it, introducing it, then I can die and my purpose is complete in life. But no announcements. But obviously, it's something that a phrase very, very interested in, and something that is going to be taken very seriously. But can't confirm anything going forward or official plans. So I hope that helps. So. What was another question that I saw? But yeah, there you have it. So Warren,
how's it going?
It is going
pretty good.
Very well. Although someone was saying, Mr. X Dreeper was trying to say he was trying to download your prototype of Josie, but he said he had difficulty with it.
Oh no.
Oh geez. It has been a while since we've updated that build. Hopefully, it still works on systems.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's not spyware. It's not something that'll ruin your computing.
It is not. Yes, it's not secretly malware.
The Muffin Man asks, hoping more co-op missions are on the way. Love the ones that are out so far. There is definitely more stuff that feels more 5K. Although, Warren, is there a chance that we will see a Josie co-op Josie co-op mode? I don't know how you build it or how it would work.
There was some talk about during some of the planning stages of like having one person play as the front half of Josie and one person play as the back half. No, currently there's not anything planned for Josie co-op. Right now, Josie is a single player experience. But who knows in the future?
That would be really funny, like a Portal 2 experience with like someone plays the back half and someone plays the front half. Right. It seems like it would be a nightmare to prototype, but that does sound like a must-play experience.
Just for the novelty. Sure. Just for like, you just play as the back half of a cat.
It doesn't really do much either, probably.
Oh, it's like when two people are in like that like horse costume, and it's like, who's going to be in the back half?
Well, here's an interesting question that came earlier that you'd probably be able to answer. Someone was asking, when's the next Josie devlog? I know that there's talks for one, but I don't know what the timeline of when it's supposed to be completed. I keep on telling them, this is the best thing. This is as most devloggy as you can ask for. This is how the sausages gets made. But, people like things that are presentable in like 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, the live devlog. Maybe, probably sometime next month. For sure.
So there you have it.
We'll put something out.
1 month. March. Look for it. For your latest dose of half cat news. Oh my God, I can't be.
I'll have something cool.
Yeah.
So, and do you have any special insight into this computer system that Milena's modeling for us right now?
Oh, the control panel here?
Yeah.
That I'm working on? Mm-hmm. Yes. So my hope is that this is going to go into chapter 2. I'm not going to say too much. So Warren's like probably paying attention to me very closely. But yeah, it's going to be going into a room here in a bit, and let's say Crom has something to do with it. And that's really all I'm going to say.
What is it? What's happening with the TikTok vlog? It's
Oh,
not a pumpkin.
got someone being a little loud and disruptive there. We had a little bit of an issue where normally we run these in the events thing and everyone's kind of muted except for the people. But Milena was having trouble getting her speaker to thing, and I was like, what do I want to do? Do I want to sit around here and fiddle? That's always the worst. Is like when you have a timeline and you want to get the stream started, or it's like, what are you gonna do? Fiddle with buttons and panic on Discord and beg people to contact you, or are you gonna get the show to go on? So we opted for the show must go on.
The show must go on.
But so the environments we're seeing is this from Act 1 or 2?
This would be Act 2 or Chapter 2, I should say.
Or Chapter 2. Ooh, that's really
Yep.
See, the devlog's probably only going to be all the stuff from Act 1 and the prologue. This is exclusive. This is Act 2, the second act of the Josie game that you are being seen created for your very eyes right at this minute. An act so fresh and brand spanking new that it is barely constructed and it is being made. Oh my God.
Hot off the presses.
Presses.
Hot off the graphics card.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, to run this software, are you running it on a PC, laptop? How big of a system do you need?
Oh, so I'm running it off of my PC. It's not like the coolest build ever. It was a pre-build, so I'm proud of it.
Did you get it on Dell, or did you go for like some other computer manufacturer like HP?
Oh man, I can't remember the name of it actually. It was like Gamer something, Gamer PC build.
Okay.
I can't even remember what it was called.
As long as it gets the job done, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I don't know if I was able to mute that person. I couldn't really hear myself. Sorry, y'all.
I thought I muted him, the losing sanity guy. Yeah, so far everyone is. Hopefully no one else is being interrupted for too much.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was like Gamer PC something. It was from Best Buy. I'm not great with computers, so I will be fully admitted on that. But it runs. It's good. Way better than my previous HP NV Phoenix as a pre-built, and it was terrible. So.
So this runs all your 3D programs. Because do you ever have any issues where you've got like so many tabs open that it just like saps your PC?
Oh no.
Maybe...
Nope, I've got them like literally all open right now, so we're pretty good so far.
So nice.
You're not a tab fiend like I am, though.
No, you're. Yeah, I have nothing on you.
Yeah, that is the anxiety of. I always have too many tabs because you never know when you might need to just kind of go back and look at something. Tabs are useful.
Did you know Warren bookmarks his tabs?
What? How many things do you need to bookmark?
I might go back and look at it, I swear.
So, is Josie being built in Unreal or Unity?
Unity.
So, just out of curiosity, Warren, would you like to run us through the horrible story when Unity was threatening to make everyone pay for every time they downloaded it? What was your reaction to that?
That was a fun 3 weeks. And by fun, I mean I didn't get a lot of sleep as we were seeing if we were gonna have to learn how to use Godot in the next few months.
Yeah, that was scary.
But we're good for now. But yeah, that was definitely a stressful time.
thankfully reason prevailed. Are you moving something? I hear so much jostling in the background.
For me.
Yeah.
Um, no, not anymore.
Was that Josie's backside mischievously moving things around your desk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just like haunted by the
Josie's back
Josie
half.
manifestations. They'll keep pestering me until we release the game.
Uh,
But here, I'll sit still.
well, you both enjoy animated movies, right?
I I think so. Do you, Warren?
I'll say a definitive yes.
Okay.
So the reason I bring it up is that there was this movie that came out recently on like Netflix called Orion and the Darkness, and it's a really weird kids movie because it's written by Charlie Kaufman, who's like this really highbrow screenwriter behind whatchamacallit, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So there's lots of talks about existential dread, and having NUI, and Werner Herzog narrates several parts of the movie. But I just bring it up because there's like the whole concept is like, this kid is afraid, and then he meets the manifestation of the darkness, and the darkness has all these like night friends who are like Pixar characters. One's insomnia, and the other one's loud noises. So whenever you hear a loud noise, that's loud noises who does it at night.
Oh, that's cool. It feels very, or from like how you're describing it, it sounds very like Guillermo del Toro esque.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Also-
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth checking out. It's just really interesting to see, like, basically, like one of the most respected highbrow writers, like, take his hand at sort of handling a Pixar story. So I think it's a really interesting film. But the Muffin Man asks, so I was late for this. What's the Josie story, or what's coming?
Oh snap.
So how much would you like to give without spoiling anything?
Right. It's a story set in the SCP-5K universe. But it's I don't want to spoil too much of it, but you play as Josie, and you go on an adventure.
Yep.
In and out of SCP facility.
Oh yeah, there you go. Traveling through SCP facilities in the 5K universe. Details being laid out. The fire captain asks, "What are your goals and expectations for this game?" And X Dreeper also is like, "Wait, 5K and Josie take place in the same universe? Mind blown!" Burr, 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 burr.
Yeah, didn't you watch the first devlog?
Oh snap. Yeah.
Oh, asking your Josie fan credentials, throwing it down. Well, there you go. Refresh on the first devlog. How can you ask for a second devlog if you haven't even watched the first one? You need to watch it twice to give us that precious watch time. But let's get back to Fire Captain. What are your goals and expectations for this game?
For me, I guess I really want to make just like a really fun, just like experience in the SCP universe that's not like the usual like horror doom and gloom. So that's kind of like how we want to like frame Josie. It's not just like your like typical SCP game. We want to make an SCP game that's still has some of that like SCP sting, but it's it's a game where you play as a cat.
Yeah.
So just something that's like a fun experience. That's something that like anyone can play to like get into this universe.
Yeah, and I think that's like kind of my takeaway from it too, is like getting people that really love like a cozy, creepy game and, like hopefully get into the universe. Like, I mean, working on the game has been really fun, but like learning about it as I go has been like super cool. And like, I hope more people end up doing that as well.
It is a great entryway into the SCP canon and SCP lore for people who may not necessarily think that they would like SCP, because I can imagine like a lot of the audience might be turned off by like all the tactical gear and government stuff, but there's an interesting, more softer and more creative side to the SCP. Although X Dreeper asks, will Josie raid Area 12? I would love to see Josie behead a zombie.
Josie will 100% behead a zombie. The connections will be more subtle than that, but who knows what will happen in the future. But
I just imagine like Josie holding like a samurai sword and going at it.
yeah, Josie just has a katana in her mouth. And
Q.
It's like that. What's that PSQ game with like the wolf spirit or like the dog spirit?
Okami.
Oh, is that a Kami?
Yeah, it's Okami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're making Okami as Josie.
That's the sequel. That's after Josie sells more billion copies. Oh snap! Someone put in some images of a tactical SWAT cat, and Stinky Cat says this is Josie.
Wait, let me see.
You can see it in the chat.
Yeah.
I will. For everyone on the stream, I'm gonna move over the things to the chat so you can see it. Yeah, look at that tactical SWAT cat ready for business. That cat does not look like it's gonna take no to the litter box. That cat looks like it's ready to Joker raid the catnip store. You do not want to mess with that cat.
That cat will poop where it wants.
It will.
That cat doesn't go to the litter box. That cat uses you as the litter box.
Oh man.
Thank you for the art country. Yeah, I would love to see fan art though of like Josie with like a katana in her mouth. And then I just imagine the Kill Bill music playing, the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, we need Ashes to make a tactical Josie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. When she finishes all the stuff that absolutely has to happen.
Right.
X Streeper has me and the boys ready to raid Area 12, and he's got the tactical catmen. So there's another image. I am showing it now of some cats. They are equipped with tactical gear, and they are not taking no for an answer. It's really funny. Did you know that they're like that they have like robotic litter boxes for cats now?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's so nice.
It's
crazy. They're pretty pricey, right?
Yeah, they're really expensive. They're like
I think so.
$400 or $600. It's really funny. My friend, his wife loves her cat, so she's always spoiling that cat. So she got a used robotic kitty litter thing, but she's like, this thing's used. My cat deserves another one. So she sold it for $300, and then got a $600 new robot thing for her cat, and her cat loves it apparently.
Oh man. The cat poop industry is booming.
They really are.
Whoever thought that there was such an innovation for it? Salem asks, do you plan on pricing this game, or will it be free to play?
It will be money, but not a lot of money. Josie's going to be like a relatively short game, so it'll be a reasonably priced.
Yeah, I think it's that classic. Josie is that classic experience that people are dying for. They are sick of the pay-to-win battle passes, a billion cosmetics. Josie's the classic PS1 era where you would get a game and it would be complete, no day one patches, no other shenanigans, just full complete game experience with no microtransactions, like God intended.
Yeah, it'll just be a one-time purchase, and then you'll have the game.
I think
No pay $5 to have Josie wear a hat.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
unless y'all want that.
if the demand for the hat is strong enough, then maybe there will be a way to acquiesce and have the hat put on Josie. Fire Captain says, I wasn't here for the first devlog. I'll watch it later. You better. But will the Psi-Z program make its way into Josie?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Will the Psi-Z program make its way into Josie?
That's definitely a Warren question. I'm not sure.
No.
Oh my God. Well, there you go. There you have it. The lore bomb has been dropped. No Psi-Z and Josie. But if you drop enough money or demand it, who knows? The possibility is still there. Aqua says, either way, I'm getting it. Thank you, Aqua. Make sure you go to Josie on Steam and wishlist it. It is not available, but wish lists are fantastic. They make Josie happy. Every time you wish list Josie, Warren feeds Josie some fish, right? Fresh from the tin can.
Yep.
She gets that gourmet tuna.
The gourmet.
Yeah. So
yes, thank you.
So we hope you definitely wish list it. And so, Warren, by any chance, do you have any favorite cat-related animated TV series? Or here we go. Here's a contentious one. He asked this before, but user 1234, easy to remember name, also good for passcodes, has asked release date ?
Yeah, so we're still planning to release it, I'll say late this year, so towards the end of the year, so I'll watch out for a more specific date, but yeah.
There you have it. We have a time frame, 2024, United, well, you can look forward to the election or maybe not look forward to the election, but either way, you can look forward to half-cat action. X-Streeper says...
Josie will be elected president.
Josie for president. That's right.
Josie for president. Josie's not the president we need, but the president we deserve. I'm sure she will ensure that the United States moves to a tuna-based economy.
Absolutely.
She will
litter boxes on every corner.
Litter boxes on every corner. Mandatory cat scratchers in every house. I think Josie would institute a lot of economic policies. I'm sure she would have a policy platform very similar to Vermin Supreme.
Who dat?
Vermin Supreme.
What?
Neither of you ever heard of Vermin Supreme?
At the risk of sounding stupid, no.
No.
He's insane.
There you go. Milena has an idea. So, Vermin Supreme is like this insane guy. Although I don't think he's insane. I think he's just kind of like playing a character where he like runs for president every year, every time there's an election. He runs. He wears a boot on his head. And he,
there he is.
Yeah, there you go. And he runs. He shoots magic glitter dust at people, and he runs on a pony-based economy where everyone will get a pony if he becomes elected president.
Pony-based.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a great figure. Nice. X-Streeper says, I already bought Josie because I am a time traveler from the year 2063. We hope it is as good as you think. So, Salient asks, how will Josie affect the current state of Tesla stock?
Uh, we'll see. I mean, I
It
know
depends.
yeah. If they want to sponsor us, she absolutely could drive a Tesla.
It depends if Elon answers my emails.
Yeah, that too.
Well,
Or our tweets.
well, I have it
Or
on
X's.
I have it on very good authority of I just made it up that Elon is currently working on integrating the Steam Deck into every Tesla, and maybe then Josie could be available to be played in every Tesla. So that could possibly happen. It remains to be seen. Here we have Fire Captain asking a very astute question. Since SCP Josie takes place in Bengal, will Josie be pit up against a tiger?
Hmm.
Maybe.
There's an idea there.
You'll have to play the game and find out.
Oh ho ho.
Stinky Cat says Josie would obviously win because tigers are dumb and Josie is a very smart cat.
Brains over Bond.
Yeah, exactly. Josie's a very sweet cat, and tigers are dumb. Or I don't know, maybe they become friends.
Yeah, they could just chill.
I could see that happening. I could see that happening. X Reaper suggests no. Josie's going to cut the tiger in half. New SCP.
Sounds good. It's violent.
Well, this becomes another SCP-529 instance. That's her secret power.
So, is there? I think I was asking this before we got some new interesting questions. Is there a SCP? Is there a animated cat show or movie that you especially like that was influential on your love of cats, like the Aristocats? I'm trying to think what other famous cat things there are. Is it just the Aristocats? No, there's lots of more animated cat shows.
Garfield?
Yeah, Garfield, Heathcliff.
Garfield's an animated cat. Heathcliff, yeah.
So do you have a favorite?
I was a big fan of Cat Dog growing up.
Oh, Cat Dog?
I don't know if Cat Dog counts.
So maybe Cat Dog kind of like led you down this path.
Yeah.
That's a core memory.
Well, I'm looking.
But
I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
yeah, I don't know.
Because
I mean, I'm always a big fan of animated shows, and like, I love me a good talking animal show, or just like when animals are the protagonists. I think that's always interesting.
Yeah.
By any chance, did you
It's always a
ever?
fun perspective.
It's a good perspective to have. By any chance, did you ever see that movie with Will Ferrell, Strays, where like Will Ferrell, it's like a talking animal movie, but it's like a talking animal movie for adults?
Oh, I've heard it. I saw the trailer for it. I need to watch it. I did want to check that out.
It kind of came and went, and but I always thought it was interesting that like it seems like every adult comedy always has that scene where it's like, oh my god, we had weed and now we're hallucinating. Whoa.
Right.
Oh my god, who do we have here? It is another Affray All-Star, the technical director, man of the hour. We have Titans Collide. We have the director of Fish. We have Director Fish, and we have Al Barney, the head technical director of SCP and Affray, who did some amazing technical work. Al Barney, would you like to introduce yourself or say anything? Or are you just in, I'm gonna, hang out mode?
I mean, I'm hanging out. That was a pretty good introduction. I appreciate that.
I know, he's so good at that.
I got one too, and I was like, should I have theme music?
Yeah, like the music comes in. I feel like I'm going into a boxing ring. I'm gonna have to beat someone up.
It's like I don't have to beat someone up now.
That's the vibe I was going for
The
the
morning
that classic
after.
WWE entrance music, hype up. I think everyone deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was a really interesting technical
Having a
question
look at
that was asked
yeah.
earlier that I think you'd probably be the most qualified person to answer. Someone was asking before in the chat, is there any like feature bloat in SCP-5K where it'll require 100 gigabytes to download like all those Call of Duty games? I guess from a programming standpoint, I don't think that's happening. Or I think aren't you doing some digital sorcery so you don't have like textures that take up like 5 gigabytes or whatnot?
Yeah, so every update we keep a pretty close eye on the file size. So the file size is always going to go up in some way. Whenever you add a new map, add new assets and all that, it's that data has to be stored somewhere, and it's going to go up over time. And eventually, yeah, it's going to get bigger and bigger. But there's a big focus on trying to reduce that as much as possible and reduce the file size as it exists. We don't use we're very conservative with our texture sizes, and we do a lot of things to reduce textures where we can, especially when using third-party assets, because marketplace assets, wherever they're from, often use way too high resolution textures. They do 4K textures for a pencil. Actually, an actual example was there was a screwdriver and a spanner that both had 4K textures from third-party assets. So we spend a lot of time making sure to reduce those textures and trying to keep the file size as low as possible. And have a lot of meetings and discussions with our lead 3D artist, Dean, about when we're introducing assets, what can we do to reduce their file size. So it's gonna get bigger, but the idea is to reduce that as much as possible, because I mean, personally, as a gamer, I'm not a super fan of the fact that I can be playing like a fairly small game and it's still 50, 60 gigabytes. I think that's a little ridiculous. Obviously, storage size is getting better and faster, and so that's less of a worry for a lot of developers and gamers, but I still think the goal should be to use only the data and the visuals that you need and the fidelity that you need to get your effect across, and try and save as much on anything that's outside of that.
Palentius says, just store the data in the junk drawer. I want a forklift with more polygons than the whole rest of the map. But thank you for that succinct answer. I hope if you were still there asking about the data bloat, that kind of gives you some reassurance that you will not need to have like half a terabyte to play SCP-5K moving forward.
Yeah, it's not like that. 80 gigabytes for the base game, and then 90 gigabytes for the DLC, and then 120 gigabytes because we have a free-to-play game bundled in. Like, we don't want that. Not mentioning any names. You know what games I'm referring to.
Well, watch out though. You go into GDC. You'll watch out. Those Activision boys are going to be coming saying like, "We heard what you said on the live stream."
Yeah, they'll change my mind.
Don't you be down talking Warzone big huge file size, or else.
The Activision Mafia.
Exactly. When you go to GDC, it's actually like that old movie, The Warriors, only it's just like various game publishers or all the games, and so instead of the AC Turnbulls and the Manhattan Furies, it's the Ubisoft boys, the Valve bundle, the Activision Atriox.
Is this like a football thing?
I was just making up like
EA
dumb
Syndicate.
gang names.
Oh, I see. Like gang names. I see. I wasn't sure if this was like because obviously I don't know American football and all that. So.
I mean, I don't either, so I was like, wait, is that what he's talking about?
No, that was my
Yeah,
attempt
gang names go.
to try and come up with cute alliterations on the fly, to limited
Yeah.
success. Although X-Streeper,
No, it's good.
Right.
X-Streeper asked,
Like I feel like if you're making a violent gang, you're not gonna go in for the alliteration. You're just gonna the affray. We've got knives, you know. The affray guys with guns.
This just shows that you can make up anything about American football.
Yeah.
And that's actually I just mentioned 3 actual football names.
Go sports.
Did you know the football field is actually 20 miles long? And they
It's
shoot
made
the
up.
football out of cannon.
Oh
It's actually made of hot dogs. That's crazy.
no, wait, it's like a big hot dog bun.
Yeah.
That's why everyone always takes like those foam footballs always have like a bite taken out of them.
Mhm.
Always, universally. You know, they actually come out of the factory already with a bite taken out of them. You buy one.
Whoa.
New.
That's messed up.
I worked for 10 years as the hot dog biter. I was at the end of the line.
In 1955.
hot dog biting is an American tradition. Although I'm kind of curious,
Pastimes, biting in football.
since we have you in here,
Fighting a football.
Al Barney. So I heard from Milena that you built like a special pixel shader or some sort of special tool that's being used to kind of like replicate the PS1 era graphics for Josie. Any more details or clarifications on that?
Yeah, so one of the things we were doing some look dev for Josie, maybe a couple of weeks ago, because we had the toon shader, which I also worked on, which sort of does all the nice banding in the lighting, but we still weren't quite happy with how like it wasn't blending together how we wanted, and one of the aesthetics of the original Josie demo and of some of our sort of reference points for graphics have a lot of that pixely style. So as with many of those kind of things, I think it was on a weekend I just decided to go all in and see if I could make something work, and so I got a really basic pixel shader in. Surprisingly, the difficulty with making a pixel shader is the pixels don't always line up, right? So if you keep dividing, 1080p by 2, eventually you get to a point where one pixel it's going to be like the amount of screens is like 700 pixels and a half or something like that, or the pixels per pixel, because that's where it gets really confusing, the terminology, right? You've got the big pretend pixels and the actual screen pixels. It becomes not an even round number, so that becomes quite tricky. I ended up doing some funky stuff where it actually cuts off the pixels at the edge of the screen in order to make it so that you always have an even number, like 4 screen pixels per pretend pixel or something like that. Anyway, we sort of put that together alongside some additional stuff to make the outlines be nice and colored, and it just popped suddenly, and we were like, oh shit, this is the look of Josie, this is what we want. And Warren was really happy with it, and it looked pretty, so we just kept it. Fun.
Yeah, it's really popping.
I'm surprised that like you need to develop so much technology just to recreate an outdated, a technologically outdated art style. It's kind of funny to hear.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I guess it's because we're trying to keep like we want the benefits of the new tooling that we have nowadays, but with the aesthetics of older tech. Um, and so it requires us, like, for example, a lot of all that stuff, especially where you have the like PS1 style stuff, they were all software renderers. At least I think they were, meaning a lot of the stuff they had with the weird UVs, which we're not using for Josie, but some games with similar aesthetics try to. You get weird things where the aesthetics of it come from technical limitations of the time, and because we don't have those technical limitations to rely upon, we have to try and recreate the circumstances that would have caused it artificially. Um, and you get those weird things where that intersects with your newer technology that has completely different limitations. So you sort of have to spend a fair bit of work trying to make that happen, surprisingly. Goodbye, sticky cat.
And would you say that the reason why, the kind of like, why do you think the PS1 style is becoming so popular nowadays, especially in the indie game development scene? There seems like to be this burgeoning wave of nostalgia for it.
That's like the word for sure is nostalgia. Like that's
Yeah.
I think I gravitate to it a lot as well. Like it's a fun style, and like now that there's no limitations to styles like this, like kind of fun to go back and be like, oh, like we could do so much more with it now, you know?
Mm. There's an interesting thing about the pixel art aesthetic. It's sort of become part of the aesthetic of indie games in general. And so on top of there's like the nostalgia that we're getting, but there's also almost like a second wave of nostalgia that's come around, I think. And you see that with games like Lethal Company as well. They really lean into they have similar kind of tech to what Josie is using in terms of their screen shaders to pixelate the screen and to make all their color tones limited. So I think, yeah, you get this second wave of nostalgia and this aesthetic that's sort of built up, and it's become synonymous with a lot of the indie aesthetic. I think it's also just cozy, like for the sake of games like Josie, it allows you to soften the edges in a way, and the imperfections can be used like you might when you're drawing a cartoon picture, right? It becomes a style and an art form of its own, similar to like, why would you use oil painting when you could use a digital picture that's more realistic? The answer is because that aesthetic gives the feel that you want, or it's the medium that you enjoy working in.
Well said.
Yes, Cal.
And Fire Captain asks, what's some problems you've run into while developing games like Josie? What are the interesting technical hurdles that you have encountered? I would love to hear from both of you.
Well, if Susie was here, he'd probably be able to talk more about more of the technical hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing from the both of us is just trying to find the best way to make a cat jump.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. There's a lot of different methods for jumping in games, and even more so in cat games, I think. There's been a lot of experimentation, and we're still experimenting with different ways of doing jumping and stuff. Like early on in prototyping, we had a very scripted kind of jump, so you could jump to specific places, and it would sort of select the nearest jump point. And that worked, but I think it lost some of the platforming elements that were unwanted, and that was needed for a game like this. So we switched over to a less scripted jump. But then you have the issues of, well, how do you make that feel fluid? Because you're playing as a cat, so it can't can't be as tight controls as you might have with something like Mario. You want it to feel like you're flowing. You want to feel like the landings are elegant, or in some cases, particularly not elegant. Um, and so it's a whole nother issue. It's sort of the classic issue with animation where you're trying to make stuff responsive, but feel good. And weirdly enough, it's still not a solved problem in terms of game development. There's still loads of new techniques that are coming out.
Gaming is like cooking. It is always a never-ending set of new problems and mountains to solve, new challenges to conquer, and new things to achieve. Will gaming ever find out the true best way to make a cat pounce? Well, find out this later this year.
Sometimes something science still can't answer.
Yeah, 12 questions science doesn't have the answer to.
It's funny that like sometimes cats are very elegant, but also sometimes cats are very not elegant. Like I just saw a video of a cat just completely failing a jump, and I was like, huh, maybe it's okay if Josie derps out sometimes on a jump.
Yeah. Or sometimes they just have a malfunction with like the math in their head before they jump, and yeah, I think that'd be great.
Growing Turtle asks, how do game development studios work / how they are organized? Does everyone have their own roles, such as modeling, map design? It must be difficult to manage.
Is that you, Warren, or
Yeah.
Milena?
I was gonna say that. I feel like that's a major Warren question right now.
I mean, I feel like it depends on the size of the studio, probably. But I think like sometimes like the more indie the studio, the more hats people wear, and then like the larger the studio, it's more specialized.
Mm-hmm.
I personally do a bit of everything on some level, but I think people do better work when they're the more specialized they are. So try to like.
Maturity of the Josie team.
That's just a little microcosm, but yeah. But it kind of varies. I think one of the cool things about game studios is that like no two studios are kind of run the same in my experience. People always are like trying to like figure out new things and the best way to do things. That like flexibility and experimentation with the organization, I kind of enjoy.
Ooh, was there a studio that you were working at previously before working on Josie?
So I do have like a day job work that I do outside of Josie. That's at a different. It's not like a game studio. It's more like enterprise based, but it's very game studio coded. And before that, I did some like I had like I tried doing my own sort of like game studio thing with some friends outside of college. That didn't really work out, but it was a good learning experience. And then I have a lot of I have friends who I talk to about this sorts of things.
Ooh, any cool friends that you could name drop who are working on cool studio stuff or right now, or you have to keep it on the down low?
No, not really. I'll keep it on the down.
Yeah, just a little guy called Mark Zuckerberg. He's like, what?
The Zuck. Let me call up my good friend Tim Sweeney.
Tim Sweeney, yeah.
Secretly, you were working on the metaverse. You were the lead architect. You tried to tell Zuckerberg no, but he just kept on insisting that like the future was everyone walking around with $1,000 headsets and walking around in the metaverse.
Here's the thing. Warren was like, "Look, you can have that, but there needs to be like a cat in this. What if we had like a half cat?" And they couldn't take it. They couldn't get his vision.
They're just like, get out. Don't show your face around here.
You're never gonna make it in this town.
I'm just imagining like the sort of disgruntled scientist, like with crazy hair, going, "Yeah, I'll show them," and like scrapping in the garage, scrapping stuff together, and that's how the Josie demo came.
Yeah.
Just a-
You're like, were you there?
Secret Agent Pancake.
all the best things are made out of something.
Secret Agent Pancake asks, is it weird having to make textures for low poly objects compared to smooth objects?
Yeah, at times. You know, I can switch back and forth here to show a difference, right? So, we've got the brush. It's a lot smoother and blends easier. But when you're thinking of pixel based like artwork and stuff, you have to think about, because I learned this from Al Barney, you got to focus on the alpha outlining like certain things. So what I'm doing is kind of like creating like layers of different coloration, and so from afar it reads a little bit better on the flat surface. And so this box was flat prior to. These here like project outwards, and it gives like a more 3D feel, but like using like the flat base pixel work, like you kind of have to think more about dimension, because you know this is saving space, for example, for the game. And yeah, so it can be difficult at times, but it's creatively satisfying once you like finally nail that pixel based texture on the low poly object.
You know it.
Yeah,
Very satisfying.
it's become like my favorite thing.
Well, here's my question. How do you know when you've nailed it? Do you just have like, ooh, this has good pixel feel. Ooh, I'm getting PlayStation energy. Ooh, like when do you know you've like nailed it?
Yeah, I guess like from a personal like taste, I guess, and then you know, sharing it also with like Al Barney and Fish and them in the chat to be like, hey, does this look good? And then if they say no, scrap it, I'm like, okay, got it. And then you know, reworking until it feels just right. But trying to go with my gut for the most part and understanding like what realistically would feel right on something that also has to be stylistic and pixelized. So yeah, it's just a balance of like trust your gut instinct, I guess, and then like trust your peers feedback.
I was gonna say a little notification pops up in the corner that says you're finished. You did it.
I did it, yeah. I wish that was also a thing.
This is a very weird question. Optimistic Pizza says, will there be original SCP noises?
Oh,
I mean, Josie is an SCP.
So I guess
And
yes.
She'll have noises that you haven't heard before, probably.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Let's just say we have an official cat voice actor lending their talent to
That's
Josie.
We do actually. That's very cool.
Is he a cowboy?
No, it is. It's Tuna.
Yeah, their name is Tuna.
That's
Well, that's her first acting credit, and won't be the last.
Very impressive.
our sound leads cat.
All right. Critical Zero asks, question. I wasn't here for the other streams, but will there be different SCPs that you can encounter as Josie?
So, yeah.
I'll go ahead, Milena.
Oh no, I was gonna say I didn't answer this because I didn't know what could be answered or not. So excited to hear what your answer is for this. That's all.
I'm never too worried. I do want as much of this Josie story as possible to be fresh, but I feel like a lot of playing Josie is just going to be about like the journey as opposed to destinations. But yeah, I mean, I suppose as on the subject of SCPs, there's going to be a few notable SCPs that Josie will encounter throughout her journey and a few anomalies that aren't named SCPs, but they have some anomalous properties. You might get some hints of those if you um, uh, uh, look through some of the Josie concept art and stuff like that. We kind of dropped a few hints for those, but yeah, you'll encounter some other
It's
SCPs.
funny. In 5K, you run into an anomaly and you go, how do you kill it? In Josie, you run into an anomaly and it's like, how do you pet it? How do you kill it?
How do you how do you become
can I
best
make
friends?
Exactly. How do I make it my best buddy?
Who's this? Who's this little guy?
It's very refreshing having Josie around, especially when you need a change of pace. It's a very different thing, and for a lot of studios, that might be like a weird thing to see. It's like, why are you working on two games? And even though they're in the same universe, they have very different styles, very different intentions. Um, Ultimately, like at Afraid, the thing that connects us all is we love video games. We love making them. Um, and so having something like Josie is really refreshing. It allows, especially when, um, I mean, you might have been looking at or implementing or working on some, horrific dismemberment and cutting holes through people for like 5 hours, and being able to look over and see the Josie team and maybe even contribute something to the project is a really good refresher, and sort of lets you rebase yourself, I think. That's what I love about it.
A good palate cleanser.
Exactly. It's like I come, you know, I come for the murder and I stay for the cute kitty.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting question for you, Al Barney. What do you like better, developing technology for? Do you like it better developing technology for 5K, like weird crab walking animation systems, or do you like enjoying you building pixel shaders for Josie? In terms of like all the heavy tech lifting you do, which have you found more fulfilling or more interesting?
It's a very interesting question because there's some very cool factors that make them very very different. So Josie, of course, is in a completely different engine to 5K. Um, it's in a very different style, and the category of work required is very different as well. When I'm working on 5K, I'm working on might be programming systems. Obviously, there's all the management stuff I have to do on 5K with the programming team. We have a much bigger programming team on 5K than on Josie. Um, and then there's also some sort of shader and animation stuff, like the technical animation, the FPS mechanics, and all that. That's really it's really really fulfilling and fun work. Um, I don't know if I could say I prefer one over the other. I spend the most of my time on 5K. Obviously, that's our main project at Afraid. That's where we get our funding from. But I certainly the thing I guess about Josie is that I particularly enjoy, and why I keep coming back and switching in between is uh, yeah, it's the I guess it's the different vibe. So I couldn't say I prefer one over the other. Uh, because if I did, I probably wouldn't be working on two games at once. Um, it's variety is the spice of life. Um, and I'm the kind of guy that digs variety. You could ask anyone at the studio. I do as many things as I can. I try and spread myself, not hopefully not thinly, but we'll see how that goes. Um, but it's nice to um, involve myself in as many areas as possible. Oh, am I echoing?
Not for me.
I didn't hear any echo.
It's hard to say. This is one thing why streaming can be a little bit of a nightmare at times. I muted my mic thinking that maybe I was like echoing it, but it's hard to say. You can never quite have the perfect setup unless everyone's wearing headphones or whatnot. So our apologies for the mic echo. We hope it's not too bad, but this is always still a work in progress. But hopefully these wonderful.
It's possible. Oh, sorry.
Oh no! Were you going to suggest?
Oh, it's possible. I don't know if you have your mic listening, your computer listening to the stream. It might be that the stream is coming through into your stream audio.
That is a very, very good theory. Yeah, I do have the desktop audio. I don't want to mute that too much.
You could mute YouTube, and maybe that'll help.
Oh yeah, that's definitely muted. I always mute the YouTube stream.
Okay.
But always let us know about audio issues, and if there's anything we can try and do to troubleshoot it. My apologies for the two mics. I tried muting my microphone, hoping that would work. But this computer monitor that you're building is coming along really nicely. I guess at what point do you know it's kind of like done or you've done enough? Because this seems like a really painstaking process, like adding the little pixels.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of time just because I'm doing this with mouse. I was using like my brush on like my tablet for a bit, but it didn't feel as like traditional as like true pixel art with mouse and point. So yeah, it is like a little painstaking, but it is satisfying to do, and I guess texturing the entire thing helps for sure, and stepping back, seeing it, seeing what might need to be added here and there. Like I tend to like looking at like crevices and stuff, like with stylized at least, like edge worn you're trying to think about, or the lightening of edges and stuff, and seeing where you can add little scratches here and there after the fact. And then decals will then later be added, utilizing sprites on Unity. So then adding like those little finishing touches, and then again, like just going with your gut kind of thing, and seeing if everybody else is like, that looks cool, and then you're like, cool, and then you move on to the next one, and you do the whole process over again.
Hell yeah.
If that makes sense. I was like, oh no, I was like, did I talk to you? And I was like, okay.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, pixel art can definitely be. It's a really fun way to texture 3D objects. I think it really gives it a unique look, but sometimes it can get tedious.
Yeah, I think the kind of thing is like you sort of need to switch off your brain, do all the pixel art, and then you sort of it's like you wake up out of a trance. You take a look at it. I'm like, so what have I done now? And it's like, oh, it looks great. And then sometimes you're like, whoa, what the hell was I doing?
Like, what did I do? Yeah, it's very meditative. I recommend it.
It does seem like a good flow. When you're kind of like working, do you like put things on the background, or do you like listen to podcasts? What kind of gets you into a good flow state?
Yeah, so I like repetitive music sometimes, or I'll put on a podcast, or I tend to like watching a streamer I like, Gab Smulders. I'm not sure if anybody else watches her content, but she tends to play scary games, and I can't play scary games personally. Don't ask me if I've played SCP-5K. I just enjoy watching it from afar, not playing it personally. So yeah, just having stuff on like that helps me get into like a nice like creative groove sometimes.
Hey, I was wondering if I'll be allowed to ask a question. Is that okay?
Traditionally, what we do is we have people type in the questions, but since you're being so polite, I will let you ask the question. Just don't ask anything inappropriate. But yeah, ask your question.
Yeah, of course.
But then after that, I'll just continue decorum and mute you. Typically, the way this is supposed to work is like Al Barney was kind enough to set us up an events place, but like we couldn't get Milena's mic working, so I was like, I want the show to go on. But yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
All right, thank you. First of all, I wanted to say all the work looks amazing, and I wanted to ask, when drawing the textures, do you use like just your mouse, or do you have a stylus, a pad, like a drawing pad or whatever?
Yeah, so I have like my hue on, for example, but I decided against using it, and I have been going a more traditional route with mouse and click. It's very painstaking, but it's been worth it, I think, with like the way that I've achieved some of these textures within 3D Coat, using the pencil tool within 3D Coat.
Okay, and what would you say like the benefits of using a mouse for texture is over like a pen?
Well, in terms of pixel texture, it's definitely a huge benefit, I think, because, that's just how pixel art was done prior to, and it gives it that, kind of more artsy feel, I think, versus like a pen where I'd have more control, considering I have like a big drawing background and stuff. It's allowed me to create weird shapes and stuff with like the shading, for example. So I feel like it gives it that more traditional, like PS1 kind of early texture look by using mouse for this style at least.
All right, yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Yeah, no problem. And aside from using 3D Coat, we're actually using something called a sprite, if I've said that right. I've been saying Asprite, and I'm really sorry to any developer out there who worked on that. So currently we're using like a sprite, because I'm gonna end up saying it wrong after a while. This is another pixel-based software where I'm using my mouse. This is mainly for like tileable textures, for example, in a tiled mode using both axes. If I were to say none, this is like what it looks like up close. That's been very fun to utilize as well. So that'll be like in Unity, like this is like a texture that I've done in a sprite. It's a basic like concrete kind of slab look, or a different concrete look as well that we've kind of manipulated using it on the rubble, trying to utilize it as much as we can, kind of thing. And then here you can even see like the metal like pane textures as I pulled up. That's another software that we're currently using to give it more of that like traditional feel.
Well, it looks very nice. Someone was remarking, Critical Zero was saying, it reminds me of Half-Life 1, which is a very nice high compliment, even if I'd say the art style...
Yeah, it's like, that's huge.
High praise, indeed.
Even if it is a little bit more cartoony, but like, anything that gets those neurons firing. I think Half-Life nostalgia is half the reason why Skibbity Toilet was such a huge phenomenon, if anyone here has heard of that.
Skibbity Toilet? I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Blockritis was just...
I don't know.
You guys haven't heard of Skibbity Toilet? The sensation that has swept the nation?
I've heard of it. I don't know if the people who are into it, the children, know what Half-Life is.
You're probably 100% right about that, but I feel like the old gaming boomers kind of like see it and it's like, oh yeah, Gmod, oh my god, Half-Life sound effects. I remember that explosive rocket. Oh yeah, the South Park member berries. I remember. Oh, you remember Gordon Freeman? I remember Gordon Freeman.
It does harken back to the Gmod days.
That's to me why, Skibbity Toilet isn't just complete internet brain rot. To me, it's like oh yeah, early YouTube, YouTube poops, Gmod animations, it lives on.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, I'd look at that now and be like, "Oh, that's so stupid." But then I remember like watching like idiots of Gmod and being enamored with that. I'm like, that was probably pretty stupid back then too.
See, as much as you think those kids, you'll never understand those gosh darn crazy kids. You have more in common with them than you think. Blockritis, who asked a question,
They're all right.
says, very excited to see how the game comes along. Love the art style and everything created so far. Keep up the great work, buddy.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you. We will.
Amazing Ulysses says,
Yeah.
don't say skibbity toilet, I dead. Yeah, I can imagine skibbity toilet elicits a very visceral cringe reaction. What's that?
Oh no.
What's that meme of like Shrek or Joker, and he's like, I'm taking a picture and I'm putting it in my cringe compilation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just think it's kind of interesting because like to me it feels like old school gamer art wise, but
Yeah, it definitely does speak to the timelessness of Gmod.
it's such a shame Valve refuses to make video games anymore, and that all they do is like just want to be a store.
Gosh, yeah, I miss games like Portal 2. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they made CS2. I think they're working on a game, but they haven't done a story game since 2019. But goddamn, Half-Life Alyx, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to play it.
It's almost like cruel in a weird way because it's like they give us a taste of it and they rip it away from us again.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Half-Life Alyx is definitely worth the expensive VR setup. People ask that where it's like, oh, is Half-Life Alyx worth all the VR rigmarole? And it's unfortunately yes.
Weren't they the first to implement like liquid in a bottle that you could like move around, and it was just a shader or something?
I remember pretty insane. It's been done in some games before, but the way they did it is just next level. That guy,
Yeah.
he essentially just did it on his holiday. He just like, oh, I'll make this, which is I empathize with, but holy crap, that is like incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like an Albarni thing. Like, I'm just gonna do this weekend.
I don't know
like...
if I could do that. That said, I do want to try at some point. I want to try and do a liquid shader.
That'd be so cool.
Once they did it, I think they did a couple of posts on how they did it, and a lot of games took that idea.
Secret Agent Pancake.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Secret Agent Pancake has a question. Do you have a specific mindset for when it comes to designing Foundation tech and laboratories and all?
Ooh, are we referring to Josie?
I think so. I think this is definitely directed towards Milena about like what's your like sort of design philosophy for Foundation tech and all the SCP laboratories.
Yeah, so this is really drawn from a lot of like the look dev that Warren wanted to establish. Like, let's say Severance, the show on Apple TV. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with it, but phenomenal show. And the hues, like the color palette, really I think helped with some of the development of this game because I had watched it as well, and like I thought that was really cool. And going back to like really old tech, like old school control panels with a bunch of knobs and interesting looking like old computers and stuff, I think really adds to the levels. Of course, things will slightly change as you go through the levels, but I think like that really helped with like establishing like the style and the type of tech and stuff.
Yeah, for me personally, a big inspiration for like the architecture of like thinking about the architecture of the facilities and stuff is like sort of like the like 60s 70s sort of like retro sort of aesthetics for like the technology and the office spaces and stuff, and then yeah, there's sort of like the in some levels sort of like a corporate labyrinth for the facility that Josie set in, which is kind of this like sprawling thing. But yeah, I was always a big fan of like sort of like the retro aesthetic and then sort of like retro futurism and stuff like that.
Yeah, that.
By any chance, did you ever see Tomorrowland? That old movie from Brad Bird that was from like I think it's like almost a decade old at this point.
I think I have. It's been a while though.
It's a weird movie. Obviously inspired by the Disney World, but it was also Brad Bird's like first live action movie. It was like a huge bomb, but it had this like really interesting retro future look because it was based on the Tomorrowland theme park ride. It also had this like really dark message that was surprising. That like, there's this big monologue about how we're obsessed with a dystopian vision of the future and how we're making it manifest and ruining the planet, and it's all our fault. It was a really weird movie.
That's so intense. I feel like I don't even remember that.
That's sort of like a fever dream movie. I remember hearing about it, but I never saw it.
Yeah.
It's a deeply strange movie. I would recommend just seeing it just because it's so weird. It's not like the kind of thing you would ever expect to see Disney make. But it was in there like, when was it released? Now I kind of want to dive a little deeper. Tomorrow movie. Oh, it was 2015, so it was a little bit more recent, but yeah, it was a screenplay from Damon Lindelof, the infamous Lost guy, and Brad Bird. And yeah, it had this whole alternate reality, but it was a huge bomb. It did not do well.
Oof, yeah. I remember that.
Unfortunate.
But
All right. I gotta go and do some work on 5K, so I'll see you all later. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You too. See ya.
well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
It was definitely a pleasant surprise having you come in. Thank you for coming by.
No worries.
So here's a question. It is now 9 o'clock. How much longer would you like to go? Maybe like you want to go for like 10, 15 minutes or half an hour, or how you feeling?
Yeah. If 15 minutes
Okay.
works for everybody, unless someone else has more pressing questions, or
No, 15 minutes sounds like a
just,
good cool down time. But anyone,
Cool.
for everyone here, thank you so much for coming out. And of course, if you have any pressing questions about 3D art, cats, Josie, or SCP, please feel free to ask them. But yeah, this has been a very illuminating look at how much time and effort it goes into building all these 3D assets.
yeah, for sure. Also, I'm just thankful Warren decided to step in for certain questions, and Albardi.
No, it's always a.
No, you had it.
I almost like to think that there's like a tingle sense that like when you see a bunch of group, you sort of know that like they're asking questions to me. I must go in. I'm like Batman. Only instead of having super hearing, I have super tech questions related to my SCP game.
I was like, my superpower is called an NDA, and so I'm just a little careful here and there.
No, it's all good. I just like hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out and not crossing NDAs.
The amazing Ulysses asks, how many SCPs are in SCP Josie? Warren,
Listen,
maybe there's like a, I don't know, you don't have to give an exact number, but maybe you could give like between X and X or something, or maybe say that they're a billion.
well, we went with like quality over quantity, so there's not like a ton of different SCPs. There's like sort of like star SCPs that you'll encounter. a few that you'll encounter throughout the game. So, so yeah, like a few that you'll see that are like from the universe that will be play sort of like a role in throughout the game.
Fantastic. Well, here's something to consider for both of you, as both big fans of animation. If let's say Illumination was to pick up a Josie to become their next big animated hit, who would you want to voice act as Josie? Who would be your voice talent?
Chris Pratt.
I'll also say Chris Pratt. I don't know if there's Chris Pratt's cat.
Chris Pratt's cat.
I don't know if he has a cat.
Well, Josie's a girl. Wait, so I'm gonna say Florence Pugh.
There you go.
Scarlett Johansson.
That's a good pick.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah. Tom Holland. I just saw the chat. Tom Holland would be good.
Everyone loves Tom Holland, although, oh God, speaking of Tom Holland, is anyone going to see Madam Web?
I've heard such not good reviews.
I've already forgotten about it.
Yeah. I'll wait till it
unfortunate.
comes. Yeah, that is unfortunate. It really is.
They don't even have the Morbius cred.
Oof. Yeah. Yup.
Secret Agent Pancake says he voiced Garfield already. He's familiar with cats, so he put his endorsement that Chris Pratt has the required experience of feline voice acting. So we shouldn't put it against him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great voice actor.
Hey, Emmett in the Lego Movie was fantastic.
It was. That's true. And then, what else did he voice recently? What was the other one? Oh, Mario.
Yeah, that was his big role in the Mario movie, which everyone kind of got used to. They kind of they didn't hate it, they didn't love it, but everyone just kind of got used to it, which is the biggest compliment you can give.
And that's what's gonna happen with the entire voice acting universe. It's just gonna be Chris Pratt. We gotta just get used to it. It's gonna be okay.
it's the Chris Pratt everywhere system.
Yeah.
Well, the one person who I'd say is a close second to Chris Pratt is Jack Black, who is now voicing Claptrap in the Borderlands movie.
So strange. Yeah, I can't wait to see this film.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see the Borderlands trailer?
No, there's a trailer.
Yeah, it came out today, or I think it was today or yesterday. I think it was today.
I think it was yesterday. Or yeah.
Video game movies are up, huh?
They are. Honestly,
Absolutely.
I think now that the superhero movie's kind of dead, I think the video game movies is going to be the thing that kind of takes its place.
But I do miss when they were really bad. Like the original Mario movie.
You mean the masterpiece that is the 1990s,
Yes.
the 90s Mario movie?
I am sorry, that is what I meant to say.
So you have an affection for the old. What was your favorite terrible video game movie?
Oh man, it was either the Mario movie or Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
That
Kombat
was a good one.
is kind of like a camp classic. There are people who unironically really love the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
Caden
I have a
says,
special place in my heart for the Resident Evil movies.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
They're so stupid, but at the same time, they're just
Yeah.
that Thomas Anderson got to create his own weird cinematic universe with all these recurring characters like Michelle Rodriguez, and got to give his wife a place where she could be an action star.
Yeah.
right.
Caden's
I'm they're just freestyle.
Caden wonders we could get The Rock for Josie.
That's true.
Yo.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
that's
The
a
Rock or
dream.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have them both, or else you'll have a Although one of the funniest things I thought recently was when The Rock and Vin Diesel had their whole Fast and Furious feud, and you could tell it was because like Vin Diesel was like angry that The Rock was trying to surpass him in the Fast and Furious family because The Rock was able to like carry more franchises, and the only thing Vin Diesel could do was be in Fast and Furious. But then The Rock was like, I'm going to start my own superhero. I'm going to be Black Adam, and Black Adam's going to beat up Superman. And then Black Adam bombed, and then the minute after, they filmed a cameo saying, oh my God, The Rock's back in Fast and Furious.
It's so
Right.
unfortunate.
I love the strong bald man beef.
Yeah.
It really is. That's what we need. We need a movie called we need a Expendables movie. Only it's like uniting all the bald action stars: Jason Statham, The Rock, Vin Diesel. I'm sure. Well, we can't use Bruce Willis anymore. But,
Bruce Willis.
yeah, but Bruce Willis can't be in movies, sadly.
Oh no.
Yeah, you didn't hear?
He's had some.
He has like a cognitive mental disorder.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like I've ruined Santa Claus for you.
I've heard it. You're getting my live reaction.
Oh no.
Yeah, like there was a really interesting.
Oh. Yeah, dang.
Have either of you do either of you watch Red Letter Media by any chance?
I don't think that sounds familiar, but I don't think I've heard.
It's a podcast, right?
Well, I mean, their stuff is kind of like podcasts. They basically do like movie reviews and stuff. They're famous as like pioneers of the video essay genre with the Plinkett Star Wars reviews. And they did like an investigative piece like about Bruce Willis, like wondering why is Bruce Willis being in like all these terrible dad, they called them geezer teasers, like these terrible action movies that are designed for dads, and his performance is so terrible in them. And then like a month later, it was revealed that like he was having cognitive decline, and he was probably just trying to like sack away as much money before he would have to be forcibly retired. Due to his like cognitive, so it became this like really sad, tragic thing. But they were just kind of like wondering, is this like elder abuse, or like people like forcing him to do this? But then it kind of like it looks like it was just him trying to like get as much money as possible, so his family could be okay once he wasn't able to work anymore, which is very sad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oof.
Oh, dang, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the sadder, stars fading. But I mean, I guess in some ways it's nice to know that he's like, retiring in luxury, versus, having to do more terrible movies where it looks like he doesn't really care.
True.
But bald Expendables, make it happen, world.
Although his last film I loved so much, which was Mr. Glass. I mean, because I loved Unbreakable and then Slice or whatever.
Splice, the M. Night Shyamalan cinematic universe.
Yeah. Thought that was pretty great.
Yeah, Split, and then at least we got to have
Split.
that. Because like I remember when I saw that movie in theaters, I was like gobsmacked when I saw the end teaser, and it's like, oh my God, M. Night Shyamalan's like coming back. He's like, I took superhero movies for real. I was the one who like took this shit seriously. So I'm coming back.
But he ruined Avatar. I'll never forget that.
Well, here's the bit.
He's like, I made superhero movies, but hold on.
Well, here's the real question, Warren. After this is over, you going to work or sleep, or are you going to kick up some Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm
That's a tough
scared.
call.
I'm really scared to.
So far, the
I've been hurt
reactions
so many times.
I've seen, it seems like really split between the road, down the middle. People don't hate it, but nobody seems to be like really liking it. But they do say like, oh, some of the effects work is good. It's better than the other one. It's more faithful, but at the same time, it doesn't have the same fun and whimsy of the legendary animated series.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. The last big disappointment for like Netflix adaptations for me was the Cowboy Bebop live action.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I was like, I'm never getting excited about a thing again.
That's so fair.
Yeah.
I am dead inside.
I don't blame you for that. Did either of you, by any chance, watch the One Piece live action, or have any thoughts? I don't know how.
I
I
have
actually kind of enjoyed that one.
I've heard it's great, but I've been scarred before, so I'm kind of like, eh.
Well,
I haven't seen it yet, but maybe I should watch it.
I don't know if you're a huge One Piece
Well,
fan, or sorry.
Go ahead.
No, if you had a thought, if you're a huge One Piece fan, but I thought it was better than most of them. I mean, there are a billion like nitpicks I have for it, but I think it ultimately it got the cast right. It was very respectful to the source material. There are points where it looked like it didn't quite have as much money as it needed. Like all the fishermen looked, I thought they looked terrible in their prosthetics, but I guess it was too expensive to do them CGI. But overall, I think it was true to the spirit of the original source material and showed a tremendous amount of respect.
Nice, yeah. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, I think it worked as a live action adaptation where like Cowboy Bebop didn't, because like One Piece, it was inherently goofy to its core. This is like goofy Pirates of the Caribbean, where like Cowboy Bebop is like a serious show. It's like this like space noir. But live action anime adaptations are always like inherently sort of silly.
Yeah,
But that worked in the One Piece show's favor, I think.
for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely like a big advantage. Surprisingly, because everyone was afraid it would be just like Ed, screaming.
Oh no.
That piece of nightmare. All right, so we have 15 minutes have passed, so we should wrap this up. Warren, Milena, thank you so much for hanging out in this wonderful Josie creative stream. It was a pleasure to show everyone here that Josie is being worked upon. There is stuff happening. Even if we can't show you every single little detail, stuff is happening. Progress is being made.
Sure.
But
We're not just petting cats today.
not just petting. Not just petting all day, petting cats, doing research, petting cats. So, Warren and Milena, any final sign-off phrases?
Oh man. Whatever you are, be a good one.
Wishlist Josie on Steam.
Oh yeah, that's a way better one. Do that.
There you go.
Yep.
If you haven't wishlisted, you better wishlist it, and you better follow Josie on Twitter and Afray on Twitter. And also, an announcement from me, the Tsar of Social. I am including a form here, which is we are going to be doing an Afray game night. Where we play games that are free to play, so anyone can join. I want to get as many people as possible. I want to know what games you want to play, so please fill out this questionnaire and let me know so I can best plan the best game night possible that we can all have lots of fun, because I want as many people in the community there as possible. So please finish the form. Pick out a nice free-to-play game so as many people can play it, and eventually we will have game nights for other stuff. So fill out that form. So, all right, I think that ends the stream. This was a lot of fun to hang out and show you guys what's going on with Josie. Always keep looking in the announcements tab for community events, as well as on Twitter and our other socials. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Yay!
Yeah, have a good weekend, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. Ending the stream. Saying goodbye is always the hardest part.
All right, see you guys.